Hi, Dave Snyder here. It is the 5th day of March 2015. Okay, so I thought we'd do another moon size confirmation here. Okay, video. And this, I call this the bird head. I don't know why. It kind of looks like a bird head, something like that. But anyways, this is a weather pattern right now. Or not right now, but earlier today. I think I said today. Or a few days ago, whatever. That was right here in the South Pacific here. Let me bring up this, show you that it's, you see how the ocean, this picture is the same, is the picture of the same area. I just overlapped it. You see that this New Zealand down here, Australia here, they're pretty well, they're not far off. You see it move the picture move a little bit, but the size is relatively the same size as it is in the picture on Google Earth, right? It's saved from Wonder Maps, this picture of the weather, and it shows this print of the moon. This picture of the moon that I just showed here, bird head, where'd it go? This one here. This is a reversed image of the lunar surface, as you can see. You see the writing down here is backwards. You flip the moon. If you're going to overlay the moon over the Earth, you have to flip the moon over. Or if you're going to put the Earth over the moon, you have to do the same thing with the Earth. But anyways, so you seen that weather was the actual size. That weather is the actual size. We'll turn on the weather here first on Google Earth to see how, this might have been from, yeah, see, it's from today. See that? See how the weather matches there? Weather. So it's the same weather right now. This is live weather on Google Earth. So it's the same weather. You can see that I got it lined up. It's the exact same size, right? It is not any smaller, not any bigger. Okay, so this is an area of the moon that I call bird head, and it's backwards over the Earth in the same spot. I want you to take a good look at it, because it is the same thing. It's consistent. I've been checking this for days, and it's consistent. It's the same thing. This bright spot right here probably goes with that red spot. You see this right next to it, or this area here. It could be a little bit not off. I don't have it probably off. It's probably just the the way that the moon picture. It's just off a little bit, but it goes here. I mean, it absolutely goes here. You can see the round eye. See the eye. And what we're going to do is we're going to measure it, and I'm going to show you that it consistently shows the moon over the Earth, the lunar pattern over the Earth at approximately 5 times the size that they say the moon is, right? So I've already showed you the lunar South Pole print. Now this is a whole different print. I'll show you some other ones that match it too. Some other weather patterns that match it probably better than this one. Or I'll try if I have time. I don't want to make it too long. But you can see that already. I mean, come on. You know that's the same thing. It's not. There's no way it's not the same thing. You can see this area here where it curves down. Watch. It's the same thing. It's just that this is how they give you the pictures of the moon. They don't want you to figure this out, people. What do you think? You think they want you to figure this out? You can't. They made it so hard to figure out now since I've first started doing this. Look at this down here. They've changed weather so much they make it a lot more difficult than it used to be. This picture right now, you can't even get this picture anymore. That looks this way. It looks totally different on Google Moon now than this picture does. It's totally different. It's all softened and it's way different. This shows much more detail. These bright spots are basically all the detail you're going to get in these lines, but now you don't even get that on Google Moon. I'll show you that too, but because we're going to go to the moon in just a second. Let me measure this. Let's just measure the eye here, okay? We'll just measure this eye, and it comes out to 442 miles. Let's just round it out to 450 miles, right? 450 miles, that eye, across the diameter of the eye. So let's clear that, get out of here, turn this off, turn that off. Let me save my places and go to the moon. And I'll show you, you'll see what it looks like right now. It's just totally ridiculous compared to that picture that I just showed you. Okay, so it's over here. Let's have a hard time finding it. Maybe this is it. And you see it looks totally, see how it looks totally different. I mean, it's so different. But we'll measure the eye here. Just the eye across. Go from here. here. So let's just round it off to 40 miles across. 40 miles, right? Is that, it says 40 miles? Should that be 10 times? So I had it at 450. Now let's see, 5 times this. Shit, that's nothing. That's because the first time I did it, it was much bigger. That's right. Let's go like this. Let's go from this bright spot down to the tip that I can see. And I don't have my glasses on, so it's 132. So that's that's 50, and that's 132. Okay, so 132. Let's go back to the Earth. 50 and 132. Double measurement here, an extra measurement. So 350 this way. If I go right there to there, let's say 350 here to here. Let's just stay 350. I don't know why. It's because I went out to the outer rim on the last one. I stayed on the inside. So 350. And it was what, 30, we rounded it off to 50 on the inside, 50 miles, something like that, 50 miles. So 5 times 5 would be 250. So it's showing it bigger than 5 times, but it's, you know, this picture might be a little bit big, but I mean, over because it's in the weather, I don't know. It just shows that it's bigger, much bigger. It's usually about 5 times, 5 to 6 times bigger, I guess. So let's just take a look at this weather again, how I got it aligned, make sure we're all good. How it's aligned. I think it's good. As you can see, like this right here, see this area it's right in place. Something's right there. You can see all the line. Look, like up here, look at this crater. Oh, we can see that. Look at this. See the round? Right here, watch. See the edge? See that big round edge? Same size. Right there. Right in place. Just like it should be. I think that's pretty close. So I mean, it's showing it's more than 5 times on this side. But you know what happened? Why that happens? I think because I'm really like right around the equator of the Earth, and things are bigger at the equator. Obviously, we got the big continents at the equators. You know, Africa's, you know, pretty big, and South America's big. I mean, it's seems things. If you try to do an overlay up here, it turns out to be smaller for some reason. I don't know why. On the Earth, it seems to pull things to the poles and make them smaller. But yeah, there you go. You know, it just shows it to be bigger. And I don't know how it could be that much bigger if it's not even, it's somewhat close to being that, you know, being that size. It has to be close to that size. Yeah, you can see that. It's definitely the same thing. Because everything else is the same thing. All the other patterns. We know the lunar south pole fits. We know the Mare Oriental pattern fits. We know the Imbrium pattern fits the weather. Now we know this pattern, this part of the moon fits the weather. Let's go back to the moon and take a look at that from a distance. It doesn't really look much like an impact at that spot, but a lot of things have been covered by other impacts, so it's hard to tell. You know, but this right here, this crater here, this impact right here is this big. It's the whole side right here. That's why it's dark, but it's been covered like a light mist, like a light debris, like I don't know, like a snow down on it and covered it up or something. Like these would be much more defined if they weren't covered by the more recent impacts, I think. which would be the side that faces us today, probably. Oh yeah, that's an impact right there. Look at this right here. See it? Weird looking impact too. Strange. I think the moon's bigger than the Earth. You know, in Sailor Moon, when I watch the Sailor Moon things, they show that like the moon's it's battled it out with Mercury before, and I don't know about the other ones, but you know, it's had some issue with Mercury apparently in the past. That's what it seems. Because Mercury turns evil, goes to the dark side, and then she has to fight her. Sailor Moon has to fight Mercury, almost to the death. She thought she killed Sailor Moon. They thought the moon was dead, or she thought the moon was dead. But nope, can't kill that moon very easy. That moon's bigger than they say. I'm telling you, it's bigger than they say, and that must mean it's further away. You know, that's what I think. If they're getting 2,000 miles by measuring it from the Earth or whatever, however they're measuring. I know they say they got lasers on the moon. That's bullshit. Or mirrors on the moon. That's total bullshit. I don't even think they've landed anything on the moon, probably. To be honest. Any unmanned or anything. I don't know. If it's the size they say, it's got to be further away, because it doesn't show itself to be that huge. You know, well, it looks huge. It's hard to tell because you just can't compare it to anything that you don't know those. You don't know the size of anything in space. You do not. You don't know the distance or the size. You cannot tell. There's nothing to judge it from, compare it to. You don't have nothing but blackness up there, so you can't do it. You don't know how far the sun is. They probably don't either. And if they do, they probably wouldn't tell you anyway. I mean, that's just the way they are. But the moon, for sure, they're not going to tell you. Not if they say they landed on it, because if it's, I'm telling you, it's got to be bigger. They try to hide all this, you know, so that you don't see this. When I first started doing it, it wasn't hidden as much as it is now. They've caught on to it. I guarantee they had caught on to it. I guess they didn't think somebody would do it. If they did, they figured they had it covered. They had all the stuff covered. I'm telling you, Google Earth on the Earth had so much pixelation that you couldn't see the definition of any of the craters, really. So you couldn't prove shit. But you could see that they were there. If you were doing it, you could see they were there. They were clearly there. You could just tell that they were putting the pixels in there to make it so that you couldn't prove it. You know, you could do all but prove it. You knew it was there, and if anybody else looked at it, they would say, yeah, it looks like it's there, but you know, can't tell really, you know, because it's not clear. But you could, if you did it enough times, you would, if things kept falling into place like they were doing, you would know that it has to be there, because you already know by now that that's the deal. That they are trying to hide it. That this is bullshit. That they say it's never hit the Earth or whatever. That Mars-sized planet hit the Earth. It's all crap. That's all crap. The moon was considered God, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with that. I'm just saying that's what I believe. That people on Earth, it was the closest thing to it, because it would be right there. It would be so huge in the sky. It had to be so huge, and that it had to disrupt it. You know, it had to weaken the gravitational pull on the Earth. People had to be were able to grow bigger. That's why the dinosaurs got so large, because the gravity wasn't pushing them down to the Earth. You know, gravity's constantly pulling you down. You want to lay down all the time. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it is pulling. It was probably less. You know, that's why they were able to build massive monuments and things like that. I don't know how. If they were light, it seems like they would be light too. You know what I mean? The people would have a hard time staying down on the ground or something. I don't know. It'd be weird to go back in time and live in them times. I'll tell you what. It'd be really interesting. Scary as hell, but you know, when you weren't spending your nights trying to keep from getting eaten by the wild animals and stuff, and the dinosaurs and shit, you know, you just laid back and looked at the moon and just made up stories about it. I think every side that they've seen, and they've seen many of the sides. This is all this stuff's from hitting the Earth, all of it. What else is it from? Come on, you got a big giant black area here. It's obviously not. It's obviously a huge. This is one big, large impact to the whole side, not a whole bunch of little ones that create this black area. That's one. Look at that. Right in the center is a big circle. That's at least one big. That's absolutely one impact right there for sure. That big circle, right? That's 1/3 the size of the moon. If any people think that if something 1/3 the size of the Earth hit the Earth, they would destroy it. It doesn't destroy the planet. It just does destroy life. It doesn't destroy the planet. It comes back. It comes back every time. After an ice age, or for a little while, I think it slows the spin of the Earth down during these big impacts with the moon or whatever, and it causes the ice ages. Either that, or the moon hits and it ends the ice ages. One of the two. It does one of the two, or both. Or it leaves the Earth. It stays with the Earth, connected to the Earth for some time. I've heard that said too. And I've actually thought that, I think it's possible that if we're going through the galactic plane and everything's reverses, the poles flip and everything's going to flip, that it's possible that the Earth and the moon kind of switch places, because I've got the Mayan mask. The Mayan mask is a picture of the moon. It's a moon mask, basically, of this side of the moon right here. It's the mask with this as an eye and another eye like it that matches this crater here. And it's you don't see any of the details in this picture. Not one. There is not any around here that match the Earth. But there should be, because this crater does match the Earth. It does go on the Earth, but they hide all this. See the lines? This is so weak. But this whole area is the impact. That's the center. I mean, the moon is huge, people. It's got to be huge. It is. It was God. Jesus was on there and everything. That's why he's God's son. That's why I try to tell you, this is the Christ crater. This used to face the Earth, this crater right here. And that's where the Egyptians got their whole, outfit from. The cobra in the middle of the headdress and everything else is all in here. The Sphinx, pyramids, not in this picture, but here's a pyramid right here. There's one, but you can barely see it. And this would be the Christ crater, and that's why he would be God's son, because he was, obviously if this was considered God, see how small, this is like a small, this would be his son. It's because it's round just like this. See that? It's like the moon would be the big round God. This would be his son. I don't know. That's what I think. I think they thought this crater was super important for sure. When he came to Earth, that's when it definitely hit the Earth. This definitely faced the Earth, and as this one did, I'm sure this area here, and I'm sure that this one did too, and I'm sure this is where they get the cross from. I'm pretty sure right here, this one. This hits Africa and Europe. This big one here, I found it the other day. I got to find it again, but I got a really good alignment of this in Africa and Europe. It's just about perfect, and this all hits the Earth. That's why there's big giant. This area faces the Earth, obviously, and it's hit the Earth, obviously. It's magnetically drawn and attracted to the Earth. That's why we don't see any other side of the moon except for this side, because this is magnetically attracted to the Earth. Okay, it doesn't let it spin around to where we see any other side. It's locked in. So it could hit us again, this side. This has hit the Earth, people. I don't, unless it's did it from space, and I don't see how you get this big black area from space, from the Earth pulling on it from space. And plus the Mayan mask, as I was saying, is in color. Shows this whole area in color. I don't know if it's this area. No, it's this area, Mare Oriental. But this is, like I said, this is not what Mare Oriental looks like. It looks more like the other image that I show you all the time. So the moon must be huge. Has to be. I mean, we see it. We can see that it's got to be bigger than they say. Got to be. Just because we know they're liars, and we know that if you gave that information away to people, oh man, people would be going crazy all over the planet looking for stuff. They would not have gotten the first dibs on all of the gold and the oil and the diamonds and all that shit. They wouldn't have got. I mean, they already knew where most of the stuff was from, ancient times, but there was new stuff to be found that hadn't been found yet, and this is how they were going to find it: by getting up there, looking, and getting satellites of the weather and the Earth. And it probably took them a while to use the weather, because it took me a while to use the weather. It took me a while to use. I was just doing the moon over the Earth, or the Earth over the moon, and I wasn't using the weather. But once I used the weather, that just opened a whole new door It opened a whole world of truth. The weather is the history of the Earth. I'm telling you right now. You look at the weather patterns on the Earth. You match them to the moon, and you'll see the history of the Earth. That's no kidding. That's for sure. And I'll just leave it at that. I gotta go. All right. Have a good night.